And pressure again. And as he throws it, locked up. Stops, launches deep. Jalen Gardner, he's got it. Touchdown, Chargers. With his leg, three to the end zone. Touchdown, Chargers. Kevin Henry took the ball. Down Henley. First interception in his career. Suppose. Score. Knock it out. A picture. Just score. Headed down the sidelines.
If you want to talk ball, I will answer the call. Hello, football fans, and welcome. I am Tim, and this is another episode of Answer the Call podcast, and I have a great show lined up for you today. We just got done with the combine. Free agency is about to start next week, and then the draft is next month. So a lot to talk about in this offseason, and I, for one, enjoyed the NFL combine. I hope you guys did too. If you guys didn't, though, don't worry. I'm going to be talking about some of the players I thought stood out. Maybe some of the players that had a disappointing season. So, or not a disappointing season, excuse me, a disappointing combine. So, mock draft at the end of the day. The last call will be the mock draft. I have the first call is going to be, of course, the combine. And about the halfway point, we have the call report, news around the NFL. Lots of news to talk about. So, let's get started, guys. Let's get started with this. And the combine is, a great way of showcasing your talents and your ability. I know that there's not a lot, you're not competing against other players. You're not in pads, but it's a real good way of showcasing your agility, your speed, and your explosiveness. So, I like a lot of these players, and looking through this, there was 3 players who had a sub 4.3. That means they ran under a 4.3. Brennan Thompson, wide receiver from Mississippi State, ran a 4.26. Lorenzo Styles Jr., safety from Ohio State, ran a 4.27. Lorenzo Styles is the brother of Sony Styles, and we're going to talk about him in just a little bit because he did have a combine of the ages. Xavier Thomas ran a 4.28, wide receiver from LSU. Deion Burks, wide receiver from Oklahoma, ran a 4.3 flat. Jeff Caldwell, this guy from Cincinnati, 6'5", he ran a 4.3 140. And I know, it doesn't always translate onto the field, but I mean, if you're a 4.3, if you run 4.3, you run 4.3. There's all there is to that. Torino Pride Jr., wide receiver from Missouri, he ran a 4.32. Robert Spears Jennings, safety from Oklahoma, ran a 4.32. Traden Stukes ran a 4.33, safety from Arizona. Now, here's one that I'm proud of, guys. Mike Washington, running back from Arkansas, ran a 4.33 at the combine. Holy crap. He is 6'2", 228, 225 pounds. I did a video, a couple of weeks ago talking about how he's like a wrecking ball and all this and that. But I also mentioned don't be sleeping on his speed. And at the combine, guys, he showed his speed with a 4.33. So congratulations to Mike Washington showcasing his speed there when a lot of people thought, holy cow, he's only a bruiser. But, I knew he had that speed. I didn't know he was that fast. So I'm not going to lie. Bryce Lance, he ran a 4.34 in the 40, wide receiver from North Dakota State. It seems like North Dakota State is always producing these faster players. Christian Watson came from there, Trey Lance, and a few others. They're going to be in the FBS this upcoming season. So I'm excited to see what they can do against Division I talent. Zachariah Branch, wide receiver from Georgia. We knew he was fast. He ran a 4.35. So that definitely helped his combine. Eric Rivers, wide receiver from Georgia Tech, ran a 4.35. The safety from Oregon, Dylan Thieneman, ran a 4.35. This one makes me proud too, guys. Taylon Green, quarterback from Arkansas, he ran a 4.36 at 6'6", 230, 235 pounds. He ran a 4.36 40. I don't know though. I mean, is it going to translate? I mean, he's got the running ability, but he does lack some of the passing. And maybe we'll talk about that here later on. Jeremiah Love, my boy, from Notre Dame, he ran a 4.36. I did not know he was that fast. I knew he was fast, but that fast? I mean, come on. So, Dejon Stribling, wide receiver from Mississippi, ran a 4.36. Malik Benson, wide receiver from Oregon, he ran a 4.37. Chris Brazel, he ran a 4.37, wide receiver from Tennessee. And this one's really interesting, guys, because he's like 6'5". And so he ran a 4.3, big wide receiver, big body receiver in the red zone. So, but if you got a great route runner, say you have like a Keenan Allen or, a Devontae Adams who can run the routes, add Brazel for over the top speed. That could be a good combination. Damon Claiborne, running back from Wake Forest, ran a 4.37. Dylan Everett, corner from Georgia, ran a 4.38. Caleb Douglas, wide receiver from Texas Tech, ran a 4.39. Kenyon Sadiq, holy cow, does this guy have wheels? He ran a 4.39. Tight end from Oregon, tight end number 1 in this class for sure. Skylar Bell, he ran a 4.4 flat. So, all right, that I'm not going to read all of them because I mean there's a long list. I just wanted you guys to get a feel for some of the speed that was displayed here at the combine this season or this year at the combine in Indianapolis. Brennan Thompson running that 4.26. I mean, we knew he was fast. Some of us knew he was fast. Shout out to Ben Rodriguez from NFL Playmakers Inside the Locker Room. He actually did talk about him, I think last week or the week prior, and said, watch out for this guy. And I said, is he really that fast? And he goes, no, he's fast. I'm like, is he faster than Zachariah Branch? And well, in the 40, yes, he is definitely faster. So some other combine notes real quick before we get into the who I thought stood out and had disappointment. Taylon Green, quarterback from Arkansas, 6'6". He had a 43.5-inch vertical, best by a quarterback at the combine, breaking Anthony Richardson's 40.5. So he broke it by 3 inches, guys. In the 40-yard dash, as we talked about, 4.36, second best by QB all time. So, he did show his athleticism, but in the passing drills, he did kind of have a few mishaps. So we'll have to see how it plays out. He did say that he is a quarterback and he has no interest in changing positions. I think he could be a great wide receiver. I mean, tight end, athletic tight end. I think he could be a great wide receiver at 6'6" and 4.3 speed. I mean, come on. But he wants to be a quarterback, and hey, I can't blame the guy because, he's been playing quarterback his whole life. So why change now? Drew Allar is one of 3 FBS players with 1,000+ career passes and fewer than 15 interceptions. Only Caleb Williams and Marcus Mariota. I thought he had a really good combine, and who knows? Maybe he's making the Coll combine climb. So, a couple linemen that I thought was interesting stats. Inez Cooper, he only allowed 1 sack and 550 pass block snaps in 2025. Caleb Lomu, 0 sacks on 383 pass block snaps. So Blake Miller allowed 2 sacks on 529, so a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of defensive edge rushers, a lot of wide receivers that seemed like had really good combines. And guys, if I miss one, like if you watched the combine and you were just like, oh man, you should have been talking about this guy more, let me know. maybe I'll go in and I'll go back through and watch the combine, and maybe I'll just drop a video of that player and be like, hey, so and so in the comment section, or so and so reached out on one of the social media platforms and messaged me and told me about this player. So here you guys go and here and break that player down, because there was a lot to watch at the combine. I mean, it's a 4-day event: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Of course, Thursday night, the defensive linemen, edge rushers, linebackers, they got us started. Friday night was the safeties and tight ends. Saturday was quarterback, running back, wide receivers. And then, of course, on Sunday, we had the big, nasty, the offensive linemen. So there's a lot to cover. And I know I'm not going to be talking about all of them today, but, if there's one or two players that you want me to talk about, let me know. I will gladly do videos, or, a reel of some sort, or a post on, Instagram or whatever. So, but with that, we are going to get started with the Coll's combine climbs. There's a few players who I thought had really good combines. So of course I want to talk about them. There's Sonny Styles, there's Jacob Rodriguez, there's Avian Terrell, the corner from Clemson. So there is a lot of great players at the combine. So one that stands out to me, though, that I really like, guys, that is Zachariah Branch. He's undersized, only at 5'9", 177 pounds. I feel Branch had a solid combine, though. He seemed to catch everything and showed that he isn't just a speedy receiver. Although he did showcase that in the 40-yard dash, 4.35, his vertical was 38 inches with a broad jump of 10.5. On the last episode, I mentioned a slight concern due to 49 of his 81 catches being behind the line of scrimmage. Well, at the combine, he showed that he can do more than that. He was catching the deep balls. He was over the shoulder, the back shoulder fades, tracking the ball well on the deep routes. So Zachariah Branch, I feel like, he did a really good job improving his draft stock, and I can't wait to see what team picks him up, because, probably second, third round, he's going to be coming off the board, I feel like. Now, just because it's Coll's combine climbs doesn't mean it's all good. We have the call up and the call down. That was a call up for sure. Now, a call down, and this one, it's Caden McDonald at Ohio State. It's not so much what he didn't do. McDonald had a solid combine, but the problem is so many other defensive linemen showed up at the combine that he didn't do anything to stand out. He didn't do anything that said, hey, pick me over this player. He didn't do a lot of that. He had a good, solid combine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm sure he will improve his draft stock come his pro day, but at the combine, I mean, there's just so much there. You have to really do something to stand out there. And I just don't feel like he did anything that stood out versus some, he was doing a lot of what the others were doing. So he didn't run the 40. He didn't really participate in the, athletic portion of it. He ran the field drills. And like I said, he just didn't stand out. So Caden McDonald, I think his draft stock kind of plummeted just a little, not a lot. I mean, it fell. It didn't plummet. Let's be real. So, but another one that I like, guys, is defensive lineman Zane Durant from Penn State. He really showcased his athleticism at the combine. Durant ran the 40-yard dash 4.75 with a 10-yard split of 1.66. Now, when you're looking at defensive linemen or offensive linemen, it's not so much the 40-yard dash time that matters. It's how fast can you do the 10-yard split, because that's how they evaluate like your explosiveness, your acceleration, and are you going to be able, how fast can you get to the quarterback or change, on a screen pass, change direction and go and grab the running back. So, with these big defensive linemen and big offensive linemen, Yeah, it's cool to look at the 40-yard dash, but really, like, the number you want to focus on is that 10-yard split, the first 10 yards. And that showcases their acceleration rate and how fast they're getting off the line. So he had a 10-yard split of a 1.66. That's actually pretty really good. So during the field drills, he continued to showcase his athleticism and explosiveness. I mean, he was those bags, and I felt bad for the guy holding the bags. I mean, he kind of got the crap beat out of him, really. I mean, those defensive linemen, edge rushers, linebackers, they were smacking them bags, in those drills. And I don't know if that's something I'd want to do personally, but I mean, I'd want to be the one doing the hitting, obviously. But no, Zane Durant, he did a really good job. And I don't know. It's really hard to tell because I feel like a lot of these edge rushers did a lot to improve their draft stock, and these defensive linemen did a lot, So it's kind of really hard to pinpoint where I see him going right now, but I definitely feel like he improved his draft stock quite a bit. So now another call down, unfortunately, is Reuben Bain Jr. He's in a similar boat as McDonald. Bain didn't do anything at the combine. He didn't run the 40. He didn't participate in the field drills. And that's to be expected, right? I mean, because he just sat there and he just had a long season. His team made the national championship. So, he's just kind of a month and a half from getting done with the season, because it was Miami versus Indiana at the in the national championship. So he had a really long season. So it doesn't surprise me that some of these Miami players and some of these Indiana players are like, hey, I'll wait for my pro day because I'd rather do that than sit here and, because at the pro day, you're going to stand out. I mean, that's what it's meant for. It's meant for you. It's meant for your team. So at the combine, you really have to impress. So sorry, I just saw some breaking news, and we'll get to that in just a little bit in the call report section. Now, another call up that I think he did really good, and that is Grayson Holton, defensive lineman from Oklahoma. He's 6'3", 293. His arm is 31 and 1/8, hand size 10 inches. 40-yard dash, he ran at 4.82, which is third best among defensive linemen, with a 10-yard split of 1.7, fifth best. I think for defensive linemen, they kind of want you around the 1.6, 1.65, 1.7 range. So I mean, he's right kind of where he needs to be. Vertical jump, though, he's 36.5 inches. Best among defensive linemen with a broad jump of 9.6, tied second best among defensive linemen. He did a really good job, and during the field drills, he was really showcasing his footwork and his change of direction. So Grayson Holton, he's another one of those like Durant, that anything can happen, and I don't know, maybe he sneaks into the first round. Maybe he's more like a second or third round talent, but whoever drafts this guy, they're definitely getting a good player and somebody I feel like that is going to have a high motor. So now this one pains me, guys. I'm not going to lie. This call down pains me. Malachi Fields, wide receiver from Notre Dame. I fully expected Fields to show up at the combine. I thought he was just going to come out there and have a really good combine, but that wasn't the case at all. He was sitting there. First of all, he ran a 4.61, which is second slowest among wide receivers in this class. A lot of fast receivers. I get it. But I kind of just wanted to see him hit that 4.5 range, Not that 40-yard dashes, like the time in the 40-yard dash, not that it really hurts your draft stock. But also, he did drop some catches that he should have made. He dropped one or two in the gauntlet. He dropped a couple in the field drills. So for me, he just kind of really didn't impress me as much as he I thought, and he had a great Senior Bowl. I watched him at Notre Dame. He had a great Senior Bowl, and I just thought he was going to come at the combine and just really knock it home, and that wasn't the case. So I'm sorry, Malachi Fields. Hopefully your pro day is a lot better than the combine, but we shall see. Now, moving forward, I still have quite a bit of players I like, and I want to savor some of this because these next players, they are, ooh, man. Okay, so we're done with the people that kind of disappointed. There was a few others, but I like another defensive lineman. I mean, and I don't mean to stick on this, but that defensive line class really impressed me on night one. Really impressed me. And I'm not gonna lie, because of the names and the talent, the Reuben Bain and the David Bailey and the Arvell Reese and all those names, I did kind of watch, and I watched them, and I watched the running back, wide receiver, quarterback class a little bit more. I'm not going to lie. I wish I would have spent a little more time on the safeties and tight ends because from what I have seen, they really showed out too. And of course, the offensive lineman did a good job on Sunday. But Malachi Lawrence impressed me with his 40-yard time, 4.52. Like I said, I know defensive lineman, and he kind of strikes me as one of those versatile hybrid. He could play inside or outside. So, but he ran a 4.52 40. And during the drills, I feel he did a great job and showed his lateral ability. He was able to, the coach was, left, this way, forward, back. He really showed his lateral ability side to side and kept his feet moving. And in the pass rush drill, really showed his explosiveness off the line. So for me, Malachi Lawrence, defensive lineman, so he did a really good job. These defensive linemen they did show out. The defensive linemen and edge rushers and linebackers definitely showed up. So we have a few more that we want to on the standouts, and then we're going to get into the call report and then the mock draft, guys. So it's going to be a good one. All right. So I have two more that standouts. Sonny Styles is probably the best one. I should have saved it for last, but Sonny Styles had a combine of the ages. 43.5-inch is the highest by any player 6'4" or taller since 2003, and the highest of any player weighing over 240 pounds. His broad jump was 11 foot 2 inches, and his 40-yard dash was a 4.46, I believe. Let me double check that, guys, because I really think that he had a good combine. And I mean, come on, he showed that he's quick, he can jump. And so yes, he ran a 4.46 alongside Arvell Reese, edge rusher, from Ohio State as well. So the Style brothers really had a good one, guys. They had a good combine together. Arvell Reese had a good one. Caden McDonald had a solid performance. So all in all, Ohio State really put up some good defenders. Of course, Caleb Downs was there for the safety, but we had a lot of good defensive linebackers that did a really good job. And Sonny Styles, I mean, let's just break his down real quick because I mean his is worth breaking down. I wish I had like a video of it, but I don't, and I don't want to get copyrighted. So, but Sonny Styles is 6'5", 244. Arms is 32 and 7/8. Hand size is 10. On the next gen stats score breakdown, 2026 combine linebacker rank. Production score 91. That's first among linebackers. Athleticism score one among linebackers. Total score 94. Combine linebacker rank first. 4.46 40-yard dash with a 1.56 10-yard split. That is moving. 43.5-inch vertical. 11.2 on the broad jump. The 3-cone drill, he 7.09 seconds and a 4.26 on the 20-yard shuffle. He did not do the bench press. That is straight getting it, guys. That is straight getting it. There's no way to put it around it. And he had a combine of the ages. So he had a combine of the ages, and I mean, I feel like he was already a top 10 pick. I mean, we're talking he could slide into the top 5, guys. All right, so Sony Styles is probably my favorite. But you know what? I forgot Jacob Rodriguez. Jacob Rodriguez is another one that I thought he had a really good combine. And a lot of people don't know Jacob Rodriguez, but he was a part of that great Texas Tech defense. Right there with David Bailey and Lee Hunter and all those others. But Jacob Rodriguez had a really good combine too, guys. I forgot about this guy. He wasn't in my notes. And 6'1", 231, arm 30, 7/8, hand 9 and 1/4. He 4.57 40 with a 1.6 on the 10-yard, 38.5 vertical, 10.1 on the broad, 6.9 on the 3-cone, which was best among linebackers. Jacob Rodriguez, he can play, and the field drills, he did a really good job of showcasing that ability. And he he showed his explosiveness. He showed that he can, come in and be a great player. Some of his strengths: 13 career fumbles, including FBS leading 7 in 2025. Rarely caught flat-footed in his lateral pursuit. He can get knocked around inside the box because of his lack of size, so that is a weakness. Will occasionally false step in the diagnose stage. So like when he's reading, he sometimes reads it wrong, but hey, I mean, those things can be coached. I feel like when you have athleticism, you're either athletic or you're not. I feel like you can't teach speed. I mean, you can work and work and work, but you can't teach it. So Jacob Rodriguez, for me, he had a good combine. I almost forgot him, and I would have been sad. Another one that kind of, he didn't really have like a great combine per se. He had a really solid one, and that's Kyle Lewis, the linebacker from Pittsburgh. He had a pretty solid one as well. His 40 was a 4.53, so I was really impressed with that. All right, now moving forward. All right, this is the last one, and then we're going to get to some of we're going to get to the call report because there is a lot of news happening. This is the last day you can franchise tag players, so I'm going to tell you everything that's already happened, and I'm getting stuff right now as we speak. Other news happening, so let's get through this last one. My last player that I thought did a really good job at the combine, and oh my, is this going to get some hate or what? And that's going to be Spencer Fanu, offensive tackle / offensive lineman. And I'll tell you why in just a minute. I know a lot of people are going to say his stock had dropped because of his arm length at the combine. His arm length was 32 and 1/8, and his hand size is 9. And, Will Campbell kind of comes to mind. He had the short arms last year. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not going to affect his draft stock. His athleticism was on full display, running a 4.91 40-yard dash, which was second among offensive linemen this year. He had a great vertical and broad jump to go with it. let's actually check that out real quick. His broad jump and his vertical, because that really will show you some of that athleticism that I'm talking about, guys. You know, and the explosiveness off the line. So we, I don't know. I think he did a good job, guys. A lot of people are saying that his stock has dropped because of his arm size, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Um, let's see. Spencer Fanu, I mean, he had a 32-inch vertical. I mean, it's not like, the top, you know, 35 inches was the top, but he had a solid 32, and on his broad jump, I think he had a pretty solid broad jump too. Um, well, not 9.3. I mean, that wasn't great. 9.10 was the furthest among linemen, but he had a solid one. He had a solid one, and I think that will help in the NFL. I think what will help in the NFL is his eagerness to want to play different positions. When he was talking to Stacey Dale on the field, he told her he would play guard if he needed, and he even took snaps at the combine at center. This only helps NFL scouts evaluate him as a player. And honestly, I just don't see how somebody that is willing to play any position on the line, how that hurts your draft stock. I don't care, because like if he has short arms, then move him to guard. No big deal. You know, Elijah Vera Tucker, AVT for the Jets. He was a tackle too, kind of similar situation. He was a tackle in college, and he didn't have the arm size, and they moved him to guard, and he did just fine. So I think I think people kind of get caught up on the arm size a little bit too much at times. I mean, sometimes yes, absolutely, I get it, but there are ways around it, and especially with a player that is willing to want to play any position. He just wants to help whoever drafts him win. So I think if you have that, then how can that hurt your draft stock? Also, here's a stat for you guys. Those that love stats, all right. Spencer Fanu allowed zero, big fat zero sacks in the last 740 pass block snaps. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Zero sacks in 740 pass block snaps. That is a lot of snaps to not be allowing a sack. So, once again, how does that hurt your draft stock, having that, in your back pocket? So, all right, guys, that is the combine section of this, and whoo, that was a good one. But we got to switch gears here, and we got to go to the call report, guys. It's the call report. All right, news around the NFL, a lot to talk about. So we're not going to waste any time. All right, we have a lot. So earlier in the, over the weekend, Jets send Jermaine Johnson to the Titans in exchange for defensive lineman Devondre Sweat. This kind of frees up the Jets to take an edge rusher at number 2. And this helps the Titans. Maybe they don't need to take an edge rusher, or, this is going to allow the Jets to take an edge rusher, and this kind of frees the Titans up to where they don't have to take an edge rusher at 4. Colts are granting Anthony Richardson permission to seek a trade. The Vikings and him have had some mutual interest. I don't know, man. I don't know. Multiple teams eyeing Derek Carr if he was to return to the NFL after he retired last season. Jets come to mind. Cardinals come to mind. Dolphins come to mind. Vikings come to mind. A return to the Raiders come to mind. Let him mentor Fernando Mendoza. The Raiders kind of don't want to start a rookie quarterback anyway, from what I'm hearing. So I don't know. And, there's a lot of teams that need a quarterback. So But he hasn't fully said if he's going to or not. So we don't even know if he's going to be there, available. So Giants are open to trading Thibodeau. That's huge. That is huge, especially for one of these teams that are, needing an edge rusher, but maybe they're missing out on the David Bailey. Maybe they missed out on Arvell Reese. Maybe they missed out on Reuben Bain Jr. Thibodeau can come in and be that player. The only reason why the Giants are trading him is, I mean, they have a solid defensive line without him. Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter. They have their defensive line, and so they're trying to get a pick, or maybe I think they're trying to get like a day 2, day 3 pick for him. It's probably looking like it'll be a third or fourth round, third to fifth, I would say. And I mean, that's smart on the Giants, go get, because then even if it's a fifth round pick, you can go get a different player. You can go get a different position of need. So real big. That could be really huge if the Giants can trade him. Eagles are hearing trade offers for AJ Brown, though it seems like their asking price is way too much. So will the deal get done? Will it not? Howie Roseman said, he's a good player. Why would we want to get rid of a good player if we're trying to get better? So I don't know. It's all a big saga. We don't know what's happening. So we're just gonna have to tune in because I heard the Patriots are kind of interested in Brown. There's a few others, but there is a trade that did happen. There is a couple of trades that did happen. Lions trade running back David Montgomery to the Texans. Holy cow. For Juice Scruggs, he's an offensive lineman. A 4th and 7th round draft pick in 2026. So David Montgomery is leaving the NFC North and going to the AFC South. Now, Texans weren't done. They traded offensive lineman Titus Howard to the Browns for a 5th round pick. So, they made that trade, and then they got David Montgomery. So Texans are making some moves in this offseason. They're trying to improve their team and help put a team around CJ Stroud to try to make a serious playoff run. It seems like. Well, if you're needing a corner and you want a veteran presence, Commanders have released 4-time Pro Bowl corner Marshawn Lattimore. So Marshawn Lattimore is a free agent. Of course, there is a lot of great young corners in this draft, but maybe you sign him on a veteran deal and let him kind of mentor one of these rookies. Jets tag Breece Hall. He will play on a $14.29 million salary if a long-term deal isn't done by the deadline. But they are tagging him. Breece Hall will be a Jet. So Jets won't be taking Jeremiah Love with the 2nd pick. Sorry. That would be crazy if it happened, but Anthony Richardson and Malik Willis are among quarterbacks that the Browns are interested. Here we go. Said it last week. Starting to sound like a broken record here. Browns in the quarterback situation. I mean, what are they? They got to be like pushing like 50 starting quarterbacks since 1999. I mean, it's got to be some stupid, ridiculous number. Figure it out. Hopefully Todd Monken can come in and really, square away that quarterback situation, because honestly, I don't know what's going on there. And if I was a Browns fan, I'd be so frustrated because year in and year out, you're starting 3 to 5 quarterbacks a year, it seems like. And, for some people, I mean, well, you don't want to do that. It don't matter who you are, but for some people, we're sitting here on the outside looking in, and you can't help but wonder, why can the Browns never figure this out? Why is it every year, every week? It seems we're talking about the same problem with the Browns. We don't know who our quarterback is. Oh, we like this guy. Oh, we like that guy. I don't get it, guys. But so Anthony Richardson, Malik Willis are among the names the Browns are interested in. They could draft another guy. Who knows what they're going to do? Aaron Rodgers can make a decision in the next week or two, whether he's coming back, not coming back, gonna go on a kumbaya. I mean, who knows what Aaron Rodgers is doing? And I just, I get that, he's getting to the end of his career, and it's a very important decision for him. I get that. All right, I get it. But come on, man. Like, at some point, stop being selfish and like just make a decision. Either be, if you're in, be in. If you're out, hey, be out. And that's okay. And that's okay. But like this whole dragging it on and, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do. That all that does is hurt your team one way or another. Because if you're in, then they need to know that so they can, okay, I'm gonna target this guy and this guy and this guy in free agency. I'm targeting these players in the draft. And if you're out, okay, well, we don't have a quarterback. So do we trust Will Howard or do we go pursue one of these veteran quarterbacks? So if you're in, if you're not, be not. This one kind of shocks me, guys. This next one shocks me. Seahawks not expected to tag Super Bowl 60 MVP running back Kenneth Walker. So Kenneth Walker is going to become a free agent after winning the Super Bowl, becoming the Super Bowl MVP. Why? What are you doing, Seahawks? Adam from Adam B Sports and Inside the Locker Room, who's a Seahawks fan. Maybe I'll reach out to him and see, because I don't know what's going on, guys. I really don't. Like, how do you not bring back the most valuable player in the biggest game? So this opens up a lot, because maybe they're going to bring him back like on a cheaper deal. Maybe, sometimes that does happen, but I am just shocked that they didn't just tag him. So, all right, guys, we have breaking news like 20 minutes ago. Bengals not franchise tagging Pro Bowl defensive end Trey Hendrickson. He will now become a unrestricted free agent. Holy cow. That changes a lot. I mean, that could change how the top 5 goes, because if, like, let's say like a team like the Cardinals or a team like the Jets, if a team like the Jets, we'll just hypothetically, the Jets sign Trey Hendrickson. Well, now they don't need the edge rusher that they were gonna probably have to draft. Now that opens up now they can go get, maybe they go get Sonny Styles, maybe they go get Caleb Downs, maybe they go get an offensive lineman. So much there, so much that can happen. Cardinals in the same boat. Maybe they don't draft it. Maybe instead of going offense, maybe that allows them to take an offensive lineman instead of another player. I mean, just so much. And I mean, swinging back to the, to the Thibodeau, now you got a couple of veteran pass rushers that maybe I would rather have that than go out and draft somebody. So I don't know, guys. That's kind of a head scratcher to me. But barring an extension with the team, the Colts wide receiver Alec Pierce will hit free agency. Colts are tagging Daniel Jones. The Indianapolis Colts are tagging quarterback Daniel Jones. That is interesting because, now you don't have to worry about a quarterback. I mean, and many people think that if Daniel Jones doesn't get hurt, then maybe the Colts make the playoffs. Maybe they have some magic. So the Colts are going to tag Daniel Jones, placing a $37.8 million transition tag on him. Holy cow. All right, we have just a couple more breaking news. Pro Bowl center Drew Dalman from the Bears retiring at 27, stepping away at a year after signing a $42 million deal. I wonder why. Like, I wonder if it's health. I wonder if it's, family. Like, I don't know what's going on. But that is something to definitely keep an eye on because now the Bears are going to be in the market for a center. So that may change their whole draft strategy, and hopefully he's okay. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Hopefully he just wants to spend time with his family. So, all right, guys. Well, that wraps up the call report. If there is any breaking news before the show ends today, I will announce it here as I see it. But it is time for the last call. We have the last call, and it's the mock draft. It is time to do another mock draft, a little post-combine mock draft. So we got a lot to that could happen here, and I have a good one. I have a good mock draft for you guys, and I don't want to waste any time. I want to get started. So last call. It is time to be on the clock with Answer the Call mock draft, post combine mock draft. Raiders at number 1. Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana. I said it last week, right? Like, the draft starts at number 2. Everybody that knows football and those that don't know football know that the Raiders are taking quarterback Fernando Mendoza number 1 overall. All right, now this is where it gets good. Last week, I think I had the Jets taking Arvell Reese here at number 2. Now, he had a solid combine. He had a really good combine. I think they go a different direction. Same position, different player. With the number 2 pick, the Jets take edge rusher David Bailey from Texas Tech. I like this one, guys. Jets need an edge rusher. Bailey had a great combine, ran the 44.5 flat, and really showcased what he can do, like, in the on-field drills. He showcases, athleticism, his explosiveness. I feel like this is a Aaron Glenn type of player. I feel like he's going to come in and really help the Jets. So at number 2, edge rusher David Bailey. Now this is where it gets interesting because the Cardinals have a lot of needs, but here's kind of what I'm thinking. Okay, they're taking edge rusher Arvell Reese because they just missed out on David Bailey, and I still think that it's way too high to take Reuben Bain Jr. They don't want to miss out on an elite pass rusher, so they go ahead and grab one, Arvell Reese. They have a quarterback, but let's face it, there's not a quarterback worthy. Maybe they trade back in, not in this mock draft, but maybe they would trade back in and grab a quarterback. But for the sake of this mock draft, they take edge rusher Arvell Reese from Ohio State, and much needed edge rusher, much needed, and he's kind of one of those hybrids. He can play the edge, he can be off ball if need be. So Arvell Reese goes number 3. Titans. Golly, this one. I mean, I feel like they could go either way. The Titans, they need a wide receiver, they need edge rusher, they need a corner, offensive line, safety. Well, they done missed out on the first 2 edge rushers. I mean, I guess they could go corner, but in this mock draft, I have them taking Francis Mauigoa, tackle, Miami. Arguably the best tackle in this class. And what better way at number 4 than helping protect Cam Ward, Give him some time to throw that ball because he's got a new great offensive coordinator in Brian Dable. So let him have the time for Dable to really dial up these plays that he likes to have, because Cam Ward has a strong arm. Who else had a strong arm? Josh Allen. Cam Ward can also move a little bit. Maybe not as great as Josh Allen or a Lamar Jackson of that sort, but Cam Ward can still move around when he has to. So Francis Maui-Noah, comes in and just boom, instant, plug that right side tackle and don't even worry about it. Now, this one is actually really interesting, and you guys are probably going to say I'm crazy, and that's okay. But in this mock draft, with the 5th pick, the New York Giants select running back Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love had a great combine. He had a great combine. So it'll be no surprise that, he comes off the board maybe a little sooner than one would anticipate. How good was Jeremiah Love? Well, his 4.36 was second best among running backs, only behind Mike Washington this year. He's 6 foot, 212, arm 32.5 inches, 9 1/8 hand size. His production score at 96. That is first among running backs. 83 on athleticism. That is second. And total score 94, which is first. Now, he didn't do the vertical or the broad jump, but he did do all the field drills, and he showcased his ability. And I think he just, honestly, he was another winner that I left off. And I wanted to give him some love. So Jeremiah Love going number 5. And what's tricky here is you look at the Giants' needs, and they need wide receiver, offensive line, corner, linebacker, defensive line. And there's a lot of great players, in the top 50 still. But for me, what better way than going and getting, a playmaker like Jeremiah Love, pair him up with Jackson Dart. You have Cam Scatterboo. You have Malik Neighbors. You have Matt Nagy as offensive coordinator. Will that be good or will it not? But hey, so they take Jeremiah Love at number 5. Number 6, the Cleveland Browns take wide receiver Carnell Tate. Now, Tate, I don't know, because I'm still not 100% sold that he should be the first wide receiver taken off the board, especially after the combine. Have to wait for his pro day to see if he can make up for it. He ran like it was like a 4.53, 4.54 40. Like I said, I know that doesn't, but for someone of his size, 192 pounds, and you ran a 4.5, like that's kind of crazy to me. But the Browns need a wide receiver. Todd Monken, they're making moves. They already got an offensive lineman. So I really see free agency and the first couple of rounds being offensive heavy for the Cleveland Browns. They take Carnell Tate, wide receiver, Ohio State. Sonny Styles, even though he had a great combine, I still have him at 7 going to the Commanders. I just think that it comes in, learns from Bobby Wagner, and what better way to have a young linebacker learn than learn from one of the best to ever do it? And I just think that Sonny Styles to the Commanders, it makes sense. Now, I could see the Giants taking him. I could see the Titans taking him. I could see the Browns taking him. But I don't know. For right now, Sonny Styles to the Commanders just seems right. So, all right, Saint fans, you guys need some offensive help, and you're getting it. Wide receiver Mekhi Lemon. He had a solid combine, but he did have some drops that he should have made. Now, I won't hold one against him in the gauntlet because I don't know why they did this, and they talked about it frequently during the combine. The first, so when, you're on the sideline and you're facing away from the first quarterback. Well, that first quarterback was Cole Payton, left-handed. And that's a real hard, when your first reaction is to be off of a left-handed quarterback when you're used to right-handed quarterbacks. And he dropped it. I'm not going to hold that against him. But he goes to the Saints at number 8. He goes to the Saints. Kellen Moore, offensive minded coach. Tyler Shuck at quarterback. So he comes in, provides that play that they desperately need from a wide receiver too in New Orleans. This one, okay. Next up is the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I didn't have any trade. I want to reiterate this. I don't usually do trades in my mocks, at least not until closer to draft time, when you kind of start have a feel for the roster and you just kind of seeing who has missing pieces. I fully expect the Chiefs to trade back and acquire more picks. It's what they have done. Like, most, with the exception of trading up to get Patrick Mahomes and trading up to get Xavier Worthy, they usually trade back in the draft. And they're sitting here at number 9. And they have a lot of needs, They need tight end, they need running back, they need wide receiver, corner, offensive line. Well, the top 2 wide receivers are taken. The top running back is taken. They could go corner, but what better way than have a great offense than going and getting the best tight end in this class, Kenyon Sadiq, tight end from Oregon, who just ran the 4.3, to pair up with Travis Kelce, to pair up with Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid as head coach, Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator. If they keep this pick, it just feels like they're the type of, because then all of a sudden, once Kelce retires, you still have your tight end in the future, and it'd be like they don't miss a beat. So I have them taking Kenyon Sadiq at number 9. Number 10, Bengals take edge rusher Reuben Bain Jr. from Miami. So, hey, I still think he's a top 10 player. He could slide still a little bit, but Reuben Bain going to the Bengals. Obviously, it makes sense after hearing the news of Trey Hendrickson not coming back. So they're going to need an edge rusher in the worst of ways. Shamar Stewart didn't pan out very well for him last season. And now they're going to go and draft another rookie in the first round. So they're going to have young edge rushers. They're going to have young ones. And maybe that's what they need, because they got Burrow and Chase and Higgins, They have all their money in 3 players. And so maybe that's what they need. So they go get Reuben Bain Jr., edge rusher. Dolphins take corner Mansour Delane from LSU, arguably the best corner in this this year's draft. And, big shout out to Joel and them 3 Guys 6 Balls podcast. They were talking about him on their last episode and how he could be the next shutdown corner in the NFL. So we'll see. He's definitely used to playing against the more elite talent and playing in the SEC. So we don't know. All right, Cowboy fans, here you go. The Matty D, all the Cowboy fans out there, I hope you like this pick. I'm trying this year something different. I'm still going to bash them. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going to bash them. I'm still going to make fun of them. I'm still going to make fun of Jerry Jones and all the dumb decisions he makes. But in this mock draft, I was trying to be as unbiased as possible. Look what I did for the Chiefs. I gave them Kenyon Sadiq. You need help on defense. Yeah, it looks like you're bringing the band on offense back together one more time, okay? You're bringing back Pickens. You re-signed Javonte Williams. Yeah, I got CeeDee Lamb. I got Dak Prescott, So it looks like you're keeping the band for one more year. You need defensive help. You need in the worst way. Caleb Downs, safety, Ohio State, falls to your lap at 12, and this will be like the one great thing that Jerry and Stephen Jones does is draft Caleb Downs. So I also don't expect him to fall this far, but in this mock draft he does. And so congratulations, you get Caleb Downs. Rams via the Falcons. Remember that trade last year? They need a tackle. and the top tackle's off the board. So where does that leave them? You know, they do have some other needs. You know, offensive line is a big need. Corner, the best corner's already off the board. Safety, the best safety's off the board. Wide receiver, I mean, they could go wide receiver, and they need a quarterback. I don't see them doing that. I have the Los Angeles Rams taking offensive tackle / lineman Spencer Fanu. And I know his draft stock should, you know, be on the decline. Well, I think Sean McVay finds the right scheme for him, even if it's moving the guard, moving somebody else at tackle. Sean McVay would find a way to make this work. It just makes sense to me. At number 14, the Ravens. The Ravens take defensive lineman Peter Woods from Clemson. Now, Lee Hunter had a solid combine, and his draft stock is rising. So we're going to have to monitor this in the next few weeks with the pro days and see how free agency, you know, what happens in free agency. But right now, Peter Woods from Clemson, he's a big boy. He's a big, just run stopping machine. And I think this would be a great fit for new head coach Jesse Minter. So I have them taking Peter Woods. At number 15, I have the Bucks taking edge rusher Cassius Howell. I think that's kind of where he fell in my last mock draft. He had a pretty solid combine. Now, he's another one of those that kind of has shorter arms. So I don't know. I mean, it's not that it hurts him, but I think this is a good spot for him. Now, Jets via Indy. They traded away their star corner last year. So Avian Terrell makes perfect sense. Cornerback from Clemson. They need a corner. This might be, you know, now Gerard McCoy, Colton Hood, those all come to mind too. But Avian Terrell had a really good combine. And I was really impressed with what I seen with him on the on-field drills. So I like him sliding up just above Gerard McCoy as the second corner taking in this draft. For the sake of all sakes, I'm going to shorten this name because, well, everybody else does it anyway. Lions need offensive line help in the worst way, and they're going to get guard Vega Ione from Penn State. Oh, man, this guy, I mean, he's a great pulling guard. I mean, you have a great tackle. Put him right next to Penei Sewell. And I think that side of the line is just, I mean, you don't have to worry about it. So, Lions take Vega Ione. Vikings. Okay, now remember last week I had Jeremiah Love going to the Vikings at 18. And that was one of the ones I do remember. Obviously, not the case this time. Defensive lineman Lee Hunter from Texas Tech. Him and Peter Woods, I feel like are neck and neck at who's going to be the first defensive lineman taken off the board. So, especially after the combine. Now, come pro day, who knows? So, Panthers at 19 take Lee Hunter. Cowboys. Okay, well, you went and got a safety. So, you solidified the back end. Well, now you need somebody that can kind of come in and replace Micah Parsons, so to speak. I mean, there's no replacing Micah Parsons, but you got to fill that hole. So Cowboys are doubling down on defense. Edge rusher Akeem Mesidor from Miami. You watch that national championship game, and he was the one getting to the quarterback. He was the one putting the pressure on Mendoza. So I really like this guy. I think this would be a great fit for the Cowboys. So Matty D, Cowboy fans, let me know what you guys think with the Cowboys doubling down in this draft. Steelers are preparing that Aaron Rodgers is coming back, and they're going to go get him a big body wide receiver in Jordan Tyson from Arizona State. I like this kid. Now, one thing I wish he wouldn't do, he tends to jump for the ball when he doesn't need to. Just stop. But he's a good player. He's a good wide receiver, you know, so that'll be another weapon for whoever's the quarterback. Now, if Aaron Rodgers says, hey, kumbaya, sayonara, see you later, maybe they take Ty Simpson here. I also could see a team trading up, and I don't think Ty Simpson is a top 15. I don't even think he's a top 20. But a team, maybe at 18 and beyond, maybe a team trades up and tries to get Ty Simpson. All right, now next up, my Los Angeles Chargers take edge rusher Keldrick Falk from Auburn. The top priority is bringing back Khalil Mack, who just announced that he will be coming back for the 2026 season, but he is going to be a free agent. So definitely need to bring him back. But what better way than have the youngest edge rusher in this class, Keldrick Falk, and have him learn. Now I know that their styles are a little bit different. Mack is a more bull rusher, and Falk kind of relies more on agility. But what better? I mean, you're still going to learn something, and what better way to kind of add depth on that defensive line and have a rotation of players coming in. Eagles, they take cornerback. Colton Hood, which I think I skipped the Vikings. They take Jermod McCoy at 18. The Vikings took Jermod McCoy in this mock draft. Eagles take corner Colton Hood from Tennessee. So they take the other Tennessee corner, and he stepped in and he showed what he can do when McCoy got hurt. So I really like Colton Hood here. Browns via Jacksonville. They went and traded and got a tackle. Now they're going to draft one, guys. They're going to draft one, and they are taking tackle Monroe Freeling from Georgia. So they need offensive line help in the worst of ways, and they're getting it. So all right, Bears, which after hearing the breaking news, things might change. But this was done before the breaking news. Bears are going to take safety Dylan Thieneman from Oregon. He had a great combine. He had a really solid combine. And it's unfortunate because I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with the tight ends and the safeties like I should have. But this safety is really good. So he ran a 4.35 40, which is fourth best among safeties. I mean, that's pretty quick for a safety, if you ask me. His prospect grade is a 6.32. Will eventually be a plus starter. He's 6 foot 201. He had a 10-yard split, 1.52, vertical of 41, and a broad of 10.5. He also did 18 reps on the bench press. So I thought he did a really good job at the combine, and he really showcased that he can be, a great safety in this league. So I think the Bears are a great fit. They definitely need some defensive help, and here you go. All right, Bills fans, Bills Mafia. You have to go offense here. I mean, you need some help on defense. Don't get me wrong. I mean, let's look at these needs here. I mean, it's kind of terrible. You need wide receiver, edge, corner, linebacker, offensive lineman. Well, I mean, TJ Parker comes to mind at edge rusher, corner. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could draft one there. I don't know. Wide receiver seems like it's the right call for me, and I like KC Concepcion from Texas A&M. I thought he had a really good combine. Something that they were talking about is he had 7 drops in the season. This past season, he did not drop a single ball that was thrown his way at the combine. I think he made it his focal point that he was going to catch everything. And he said that he doesn't want to be that person that drops passes. So wide receiver KC Concepcion for the Bills. Niners take edge rusher TJ Parker from Clemson. Nick Bosa's getting he's banged up, never on the field, getting kind of old. Put TJ Parker. He can also play inside, guys. So I really like TJ Parker on the edge for the 49ers. Texans. Texans have a lot. I don't know. Texans are weird now because they need offensive line, but they just traded offensive lineman. They need defensive line. They need a running back, but they just got a running back, so could probably go ahead and mark running back off. They need a linebacker, and they need an edge. I mean, maybe they're gonna go make some moves at one of these veteran, free agents. But I just for this mock draft, they are taking none other than defensive lineman Christian Miller from Georgia, another great guy, and he instant impact day one. So I really like this pick. This is probably like the least likely that's about to happen, and that's the Rams select quarterback Ty Simpson from Bama. Ty Simpson came at the combine and proved why he is, without a shadow of a doubt, the quarterback 2 in this year's class. Where will he fall? That remains to be seen. But Rams get their QB of the future. He gets to sit behind old Matthew Stafford and learn a thing or two, the inexperience. But he did play in the SEC. He did play against some of these, great corners and edge rushers like Keldrick Falk and, Christian Miller and all those. So I just don't see it. I really think a team is probably going to try to jump ahead of the Rams. Also, they could probably go corner with this pick as well. So Broncos are taking offensive tackle Caden Proctor. This kid had a pretty solid combine. I didn't talk about him much, but he had a really good combine, and I think he's a big guy, and he did a really good job with like the pulling and the lead blocking and stuff like that at the combine. So now, and I understand, the combine is the combine, and it's just meant to showcase their ability. I mean, it's a whole different thing when you have to put on pads, but I think Caden Proctor can come in and protect. Now, I do want to point out, and it may happen in a future mock draft, I don't know. After the performance by Eli Stowers, tight end from Vanderbilt, that might be something to keep an eye on, because he had a pretty good combine. In fact, he had the best vertical out of everybody, 45.5-inch vertical. His broad jump was also his broad jump was tied for best at 11.3. Ted Hurst, wide receiver from Georgia State, also had 11.3. His 40 time isn't as great as Kenyon Sadiq, but man, I mean, I think he ran like a 4.5. Let's see. Yeah, Eli Stowers, he ran a 4.51 40. But he's tall. I mean, he's got the size. So, he's 6'4", 239. Just real athletic tight end. And I think this would be a great fit for the Broncos. And this mock draft, I had them taking Caden Proctor, but keep an eye out, because in future ones, I could easily see him becoming a first-round pick in my mocks. Patriots take offensive tackle Caleb Lemieux, the other tackle from Utah. You need somebody opposite side of Will Campbell to come in and solidify that offensive line. And this guy does it. I also see them trading back for extra picks. They need edge, O-line, D-line, tight end, safety. I mean, Stowers could easily go to them as well at 31. So it's going to be really interesting in the upcoming weeks, especially with free agency starting next week. And then this was done before I found out that Kenneth Walker is not coming back. So maybe there's a new one next week. But I don't know where to put this guy yet. Like, some people have him higher, some people have him lower. And I'm still trying to learn this guy. And that's corner Brandon Cisse from South Carolina. Some people have him going like maybe like to the Panthers or the Cowboys. Some people have him not first round. So I'm just gonna kind of put him right at the tail end of it for now. I could easily see them taking the Seahawks taking Jadarian Price or maybe Mike Washington right here. Or maybe they take a running back in the second round. But so Seahawks take Brandon Cisse, corner from South Carolina. And that's the mock. That's the on the call with Answer the Call. And guys, oh man, free agencies next week, guys. This is a fun time. This is a fun time in the off season. We just had the combine. Free agency's about to start. NFL drafts creeping over the hill. And, so the next few weeks and month and a half is really just a fun time for me. I love this stuff. I love the free agency. I love the NFL draft. I love the whole process. I'm going to be watching pro days. I'm going to watch as many pro days as I can. So I will be talking about these players, like a Ruben Bain, like all these players that, Fernando Mendoza that didn't compete, didn't showcase what they can do at the combine. I'm going to try to catch all their pro days. Now, I can't guarantee I'm going to catch them all, but I'm going to try. Let me know if you agree with this mock or not, where I got it right, where I got it wrong, where the call was good, where the call was bad. Let me know if there's a standout in the combine that you liked that I didn't talk about. I mean, I didn't talk about Eli Stowers that much, and I really wanted to, but I am definitely open to talk about them. I will do a video. I will talk about it on the next episode. Whatever you guys want, let me know. Find me on all social media platforms. Answer the Call, COLL. Guys, that's going to be a wrap for me this week. If you have enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your neighbors. Find me on all social media platforms. Once again, Answer the Call, COLL. You have a great day, and I will see you guys next time. Remember, talk ball with Answer the Call.